What are the top 10 best unstoppable buff counters? And in this video, we're going to go over just that. But just before we do get into the video, please support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and the like button. That massively helps out things. And I'll probably be doing an updated version of this particular list at a later date. So put in the comment section if there's other champions that you think should be in a better top 10, a better top 15, or a top 20 if we can do that. Let's face it, options against Unstoppable, there's a good amount, but it's not a huge amount of champions, especially over 180. I can find at least 15 that are good, and as well a further, say, 3 that are alternative options that suppress Unstoppable either at the source through an interaction of debuff with the slow debuff or some synergies as well. And yes, if you're wondering, there is a cheat sheet for the unstoppable counters. I've uploaded this to the Discord, but it's on screen now if you want to check it out. It just goes over some of these champions, but I need to put them into a top 10, roll a little footage over the top of this stuff and say like who I think is the best based on like how easy it is to do said move to then suppress said unstoppable buff by the means of stagger, by the means of the slow debuff, how quick it's to get those things, and maybe with the other types of unique interaction or synergy improvements, which, let's face it, I'm not going to put synergy improvements, but I will give them a slight nod. And just before I do get into this, I just want to give a shout out to Juggernaut SK. It is one of the go-to sites I go to accumulate information. And that's the thing, a lot of this stuff comes from me doing research in champion abilities, but also a good chunk of it comes from Juggernaut SK or .sk, link is in the description. If you want a lot of info from everything, synergies, buffs, dual targets, arena stuff, calendar, quests, events, go and check it out. Please do. It's a great resource for the community. Okay, enough talking. Top 10. And number 10 is Thor Jane Foster. Why is this such a good champion? Well, it's easy to get on with. The heavy attacks are great. Heavy attack, 85% chance to stagger the opponent for 8 seconds, up to 2 times the next time a staggered opponent triggers a buff. That buff and all other buffs are triggered are nullified. What can you say except for that is a pretty good thing to happen. It's easy on rotation. You just do a heavy attack, it's done. The reason it's number 10 is because this isn't a champion that's overly used. Not to throw shade on a champion, but it's just not up there with a lot of other champions that have been used. And it is a very tight list to get someone's into top 10. The heavy rotations do mean that this champion is good, but for the purpose of utilization of stuff like anything more than stuns and shocks, it's not really a widely used champion, but it is an option. And number 9 is Mephisto. Mephisto is a great champion to suppress more than just unstoppable and as well other buffs, same way that Thor Jane Foster would be a great champion option. But the thing is, Soul Imprisonment does have a life expectancy to a degree in that it will not be there constantly throughout the battle the way that, say, other interactions will be. However, though, from a top end of damage output, Mephisto slightly edges it against Thor Jane Foster. But yeah, Mephisto is a great champion, especially if you ramp him up, get his persistent charges popping off, and you're fighting down the line. But for buff suppression, and in particular, suppressing that unstoppable, is still a great option as a counter. In at number 8 is SpiderMan Stealth Suit. This is a great champion that has an amazing pre-fight ability, especially when it comes to the web foam side of things. So you choose that, interact well against the suppression of Unstoppable with a slow debuff, but as well it does detract a little bit from the damage output with a lot of players opting for flashbang as opposed to that. But having utility is having utility, and this is a great pre-fight to have. Next up at number 7 is DragonMan. DragonMan is a great champion in any case, great immunities, and as well great interaction and damage. He also has a slow debuff, and the reason that he is at number 7 is just the extent of time. That 8 seconds and as well the rotation around the SP1 do mean that it isn't the greatest of the ones on our list, especially with a lot of them. You just do parry heavy and you get it, or you have a stagger very early on and it's just a better interaction. It's just more clean and more effective. So yeah, SP1 kicking off a slow debuff for 8 seconds. So great to have, and move on to the next one, which at number 6 is Sorcerer Supreme. Now, it's one of these champions that I feel is definitely around the midway, and the reason being you have to build up to your special attacks in order to get the slow debuff. So first of all, if you decide to choose a blessing, and in particular choose Icon's Ingenuity. It starts you off in that process as soon as you throw that SP1. Then you'll get yourself a slow and slow the opponent for 12 seconds. And the reason being that I kind of feel that this is a champion that could have broken into the top 5 or at least like top 4, 3, is that just doing an SP1 is the process to get it. But having that additional amount of 5 seconds in kind of comparison to DragonMan just kind of means that this champion that goes a little bit above DragonMan and could go a little bit on top, but it is a really hard fought top 5 or top 4 even, because of the fact that champions would either have heavy attacks and then they'll get slow debuff, or they'll do just hits and they'll be able to nullify the unstoppable. This is why a top 5 or number 5 is Sasquatch. So Sasquatch has Stagger off the back of his heavy attack, which is inflicts Stagger for 14 seconds, causing the next buff the opponent gains to be nullified, which is a max of 2. Even though that might feel quite restrictive, it's not. It's actually really good as a method, and as well doing that parry and heavy attack means that it's just very easy to do. And a lot of the champions in this top 5 will be all about that type of gameplay, which doesn't require throwing a special attack, or, you know, it's a bit more better on the process. You can do a 5-hit combo, parry, heavy attack, and then after that you're back into a 5-hit combo without even the concern of throwing a special attack or being restricted to throw an SP1 or an SP2. The same sentiment can be for SpiderGwen. SpiderGwen, and as well as one other champion on our list, actually benefit from this heavy attack slow debuff, which does it for the opponent for 15 seconds, and it could be a good shout for this champion to be right at the very top. But what I've had to do is also kind of put into counters as being representative of champions that you can use but also get good damage from. Not to say she's without it, but they're better contenders that have lots more in their kit, which make them singularly really good at interaction against champions with the unstoppable buff, but also can really heavy hit on damage output. And again, not to say this champion does not. There's just other highly rated champions in our list that are really decent. This is why at number 3, and this will be a bit of a bone of contention whether or not it should be at least 2 or 1, but that it really was hard fought, and that is Beardo, Captain America Infinity War. When you get into a kinetic charge, you're able to nullify an unstoppable effect on a champion, and this one has been and is one of the greatest. There's a lot more to the champion's kit, but there are and it is incredible damage output this champion has. A heavily 200 signature away conversion does mean that he is absolutely incredible, especially with interaction, and that's one of the reasons that I put him down to 3, with number 2 on our list being just a slightly better option, especially as a singular champion, unawakened, and as well just a freight train. And that's why our freight train stops at the station at number 2, and that is Dr. Doom. It's not really take away from this champion not being number 1, but I do think that this number 1 entry is actually one of the best based on the damage output side of things. Or to be honest, just the rotation's quite easy to grab as you play about, and you can just change. But that's the thing. I feel that it's very hard to pinpoint 1 and 2, 2 and 1. They should really be on the even platform. But I'll stick my guns out and go like, right, Dr. Doom with the Stagger debuff is causing that suppression of any buff, of the unstoppable buff, and as well most of the time the kind of the Incinerate building up to SP3s, double SP3s, SP2 after the double SP3s. If you can do it and do it well with the aura, then man, you're in for some good damage. So you've got the damage potential, and as well you've got the kind of like amazing suppression of buffs in general with Stagger, and in particular, and as we said, the suppression of the unstoppable buff. But in any case, this puts us into number 1, and the number 1 slot is SheHulk. Now, bit of debate with this, whether or not she should be kind of like dropped down, but I think that the slow debuff, having a poison immune champion, which even looking down on our list, it's very rare to find a poison immune champion that can as well do counter to unstoppable and evade-based effects. But we're talking about unstoppable here. So it's adding in good damage output, good interaction against unstoppable, and as well, so many bits of content this champion has gone up against. Not to say there's nothing with Dr. Doom, it's just a case of going like, she's just a really fun, punchy option, which the rotation around doing parry heavy is 2 hits to get the slow debuff, compared with Dr. Doom to get Stagger, which is, yes, you could do, wait until about, I don't know, you could get lucky with one hit and find shock damage is, the shock debuff is there, to convert into a stagger. Or it may take a little bit longer. Let's face it, are you actually going to do that? Probably not. Especially when you want to do a 5-hit combo first. With SheHulk, you'll do parry heavy, and then it's a case you've got 15 seconds. If you're quick, you can get in 2 5-hit combos, so 2 consecutive 5-hit combos in that time. And you'll probably find that the slow debuff has not expired in that time. I don't know if did I say 10 seconds? Did I mean 12 seconds? I probably meant 12 seconds with the heavy attack. Yeah, so 12 seconds with that. So yeah, that's really like my point here with that, is that you will be able to do at least 2 sets of 5-hit combos before you then to reapply it again, which means that you just ramping up damage. I just feel that she slightly edges it, and it was very difficult. It was a very difficult process to go, okay, is she number 1? Was he number 1? But in any case, that has been the list. Thank you very much for watching. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Could I take some of the options that are on screen now? Have I missed out any? By the way, this spreadsheet will be available on screen now, yeah, and also on the Discord as a guide. So yeah, thank you so much for supporting this video. Let me know in the comment section, is there any that should be added into the top 10? Should we do a top 15? Should we do a top 5? You know, what are your feedback? What's your thoughts? And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it with somebody, support the channel, come back to content each and every day, come to the channel, and also the Discord as well. Check out some other content located up there, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.